I'm Case. I built one of the highest rated meal prep businesses in the country, starting with no money experience or connections. I made every mistake, figured it out. Now I give you the playbook so you can skip the painful parts. Meal prep software, business automation systems, private groups, an AI clone in my brain. You can pick 24/7, one-on-one consulting, free resources, courses, and more. Everything you need is at mealprepiz101.com. Links in the show notes. Now let's get into it.
What's going on, eaters and feeders? Welcome to the Event Rockstar Series, where I teach you how to shine like the rock star you are at events, demos, lunch and learns, parties, and shindigs that your meal prep business attends so you can maximize the impact and the profit for your efforts. In this episode, I'm going to be discussing your setup. Everything up until this point has been focused on preparation, and now this episode is kind of like getting into the locker room. We've done our practice, we've run our drills, we know our plays, and now we are going to be stepping on the field. We want to do so in the right way so we are set up for success. So rolling right into it, we're going to go with the old adage of if you aren't early, you are late. And that is super applicable because if you forgot to do any of the prior things, or if you run up to anything that was unforeseen, being early will definitely hedge against any sort of malfunctions or catastrophes that may arise from you just not having enough time to roll with the punches. Now, if you're working with a serious and experienced event coordinator, they've probably suggested what time the event starts and what time you should get there. But if they haven't, you should always plan to be there at least a half hour early. Get in that habit. Maybe clarify that with them before the event starts. If they only give you one time, clarify. I said, is 9 o'clock when the gates open, when the people start showing up, or is that when you want us to be there to start getting ready? Make sure you have enough time to not only get everything set up, but also to encounter any kind of unforeseen events where the water fountain doesn't work, or you're not able to access the elevator, or there's only a ramp on the far side of the building. Any of that kind of stuff that you didn't check with or verify, or maybe eroded between when you did verify it and what you're dealing with now. Any of that stuff comes up, you are going to be ready for it because you got there an extra half hour early, right? At least an extra half hour early. One of the first things you're going to want to do is make sure that you get on the Wi-Fi. Now, you've already got the Wi-Fi password, but sometimes Wi-Fi passwords change. Sometimes they've got capitals or extra letters or some extra numbers or signs or whatever else that the contact person wasn't aware of because they don't use it regularly or they haven't used it in a while. And you just want to make sure that you're on the Wi-Fi as soon as possible so that everything is going to be good to go. If the password doesn't work, this gives you some extra time to find out what the real password is and troubleshoot that issue. If you're using water, if you're going to be using some Schaefer dishes, you're going to want to make sure you're getting the water for them. A lot of times, I would recommend it's probably best to just have gallons of water ready to go. Bring them with you. If you have access to water, no problem. Leave the gallons for the next time, but in case you ever run into a circumstance where your source of water is on the other side of the building, or the pans don't fit under the sink, or whatever else the issue is, you are prepared and ready to go with some distilled bottles, gallons of water. Distilled is crucial because that's ideal to use. Now, obviously the tap water that you're going to be using isn't distilled. Shame on you. But if you are able to use distilled gallons, that would be the best case scenario. It'll make your pans last a bit longer. Something else I mentioned in one of the other videos is picking a prime spot. Sometimes it's first come, first serve. Sometimes it's assigned. If it's not assigned, being there early is going to behoove you. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you're showing up not knowing whether or not you're assigned. You show up and you're like, oh, there's our business name on that table. I guess that's where we're going to be. Sometimes I've moved business names around and then I set up before the other person, and that business either doesn't know what happened, or sometimes they're a little confused because they thought that they had the extra squeeze with the point of contact and they got that prime location, and then all of a sudden we were set up there, and then all I know is that's where our business name was. Oh, I see yours over there back in the corner. Oh, that's weird. Just with real estate, events are often about location. A lot of times being up front is ideal, but you have to be considerate and aware of the potential bottlenecks of the layout. If you see that there is going to be a narrow area where, as I mentioned before, there's going to be a crowd forming around your table, you're the one with food, no one cares about insurance or signing up for AAA or waiting in line to get their back cracked or a neck massage or any of that stuff. They might sign up for that stuff and walk around, but people will hoard your table when you have good food. Anticipate this and be aware of the fact that if it creates a bottleneck, people not knowing what's on the other side of that crowd won't want to deal with that crowd, and they're going to turn right back around and they're never going to pay a visit to your table. But if you pick a nice open area where there's no problem gaining access to you, there's a slim likelihood of you blocking the artery of foot traffic, then you're probably not going to have to worry too much about that crowd growing. You should hope for and anticipate a nice, healthy, thick crowd of people, because that shows demand. It's a human psychology thing. Now, speaking of food, you might not want to put out all the food right away, and I would probably encourage you not to. Why? Because if people see that there's more food, they're going to serve themselves larger portions. If you're able to hide that food under the table, it allows you to trickle it out a little bit more slowly. And really what you're looking for is maximal engagements. You're not looking to feed everybody as much food as possible. You want to have as many people coming by your table as possible. So as later crowds and later waves start hitting your table, if they see that the plates are empty, it gives them less reason to come up and approach you. And it makes them very disappointed. It also makes you look like you don't know what you're doing. And again, I've been at those events where we've run out of food too early because we put too much food out, and I've learned to throttle it by hiding some of the food so it's not all out and you're not showing them everything right away. Make sure you get your displays set up right away. And I'm not just talking about banners and flags and your spinning wheel and whatever else. You also want to have your airbook or your iPad or whatever else with a display that people are able to see from a distance, something that piques curiosity. Ideally, it's going to be something with some high-def images. The stuff that I normally display, I'll have a couple of them set up. I might have my MacBook, an AirBook, and an iPad all set up with different things. One is going to be our Yelp, which is like a crowd validation kind of thing. It shows them that other people dig us and love our stuff. I'm also going to show them our menu so I can quickly flip through it, show them the high-def pictures, how easy it is to use the menu, etc. Then on the third screen, I would have our homepage, which used to display a video in the hero bar, which was really engaging and got people kind of looking at it because they see a video, they see movement, they want to learn more, and they start coming closer. Again, this is all about reeling them in. This is all about different types of bait that people are going to see with their eyes because they're far away, and they'll start coming in closer and closer. And as soon as they're within earshot, engage, reel them in the rest, get them on the boat, and get them in the cooler. Again, everything is bait. It's all about bringing them in closer, and people are going to see it with their eyes first, whether it's a video or your delicious food or your bright colors and your high-def images, and you want to get them in closer and closer. And as soon as they're within earshot, you want to reel them in, get them on the boat, and get them on ice ASAP. Now, if you only have one iPad or one laptop or one AirBook, you're going to have multiple tabs open so you can quickly go and you have everything ready. Here's our reviews, here's our homepage, isn't that pretty? And this is what our menu looks like. Isn't that so easy to sign up? And then maybe on the fourth tab, here's our intake form. Go ahead and put your name, email, and cell phone number, and we're going to send you a coupon, promotion, whatever incentive you want to throw at them for that event. Get them signed up. Sometimes you'll have a dedicated iPad or AirBook or laptop set up just for the intake stuff. I would suggest if you have one dedicated, which is a great idea, you try to find something with a keyboard. Our iPad has the little Bluetooth keyboard connected to it. Got to make sure that's charged as well. Or you can have a simple AirBook that costs a few $100 and they're worth their weight in gold when you need that little keyboard function. It's just so much faster to type something on a keyboard than it is to mess around with the iPad thing. People can use 8 fingers at a time, 10 fingers if you're counting the space bar, as opposed to that one finger typing. The line starts developing, people start losing interest. You don't want that happening. In, out, got your information, got you fed, get out of here. You want them in, charmed, fed, signed up, and gone as soon as possible so you can have them all flowing through. It's really important to maintain the mindset of no matter how many people you have on this side of the table, odds are you're going to be outnumbered. There's going to be people throwing all sorts of different questions at you. Some are trying to sign up, some are trying to get some food, some are trying to ask about gluten, some are trying to ask about keto. You're trying to cater to as many people as possible, and when you're outnumbered, the more things you're able to leverage and the faster you're able to get them from A to B to C and gone, the better. That rolls right into my next point. Based on the priority of what you want them engaging with, you want to make that correlative to the proximity. What does that mean? I want to collect your information, right? So the closest thing to the customer or the potential prospect that we have walking up on us is going to be a contact form. It's going to be the iPad. It's going to be the sign-up sheet or something like that. The food and everything else, that's the bait. That's closer to me. So come on, get closer. Hey, before you reach over that, why don't you go ahead and put your information down on that? That'd be great, right? Then you've got your contact information, you got some flyers, you got some business cards, you got the food. All that stuff is great, but my priority is getting you to sign up. So I'm gonna make that as close as possible to you. I wanna remove all friction and all excuses for you not to grab that thing and put your information down. Think about the entire layout of the table. Think about the layout of the room. If people are coming from that side, then I'm going to imagine that they are going to be walking by my table like this. So it's easiest to have the line flow like this, right? So I'm going to have the prize wheel and the contact form on this end of the table. Then I'm going to have probably the utensils and the napkins so people aren't worrying about full plates and then grabbing the utensils and napkins. So they're grabbing that stuff, grabbing the plates or napkins or whatever else, then they're getting the food, and then at the end I'll have the business cards, the flyers, the postcards or whatever else, because again, my objective isn't to give out business cards. My objective is not to give out postcards and flyers or food. My priority is to get your contact information, and everything else is just bait to get you there. So I want them to feel obligated to go down the natural progression and spin a wheel, give me your contact information, and then do the rest of the stuff. And this allows me to engage with you. Whereas if I give you the opportunity to get food first and then the utensils, you might be spilling some food. So maybe it's utensils first and then the food, and then you're taking off. I want prize wheel contact information, because the prize wheel, assuming, is off the table or on the side of the table. Prize wheel contact information, utensils, napkins, food, and then the stuff that you're gonna take and probably throw away or put in your purse and forget about it for 6 months. That stuff, low priority, it's at the very end. This is where all the magic is happening. And lastly, anything that can be hidden should be hidden. Whether you're hiding food or the bags that you're carrying stuff in, your other utensils, your spare stuff, whatever doesn't need to be on the table, what isn't bait, whatever isn't aesthetically pleasing or drawing them in or utilized to facilitate this whole experience, needs to be under the table, out of sight, out of mind, and hidden under your lovely tablecloth that we mentioned in a previous video. That basically wraps up your setup. If you've done everything up until this point, you are ready. So let's get into the game. The next videos are going to be talking about actually in the game while people are coming up to your table, what you should be doing, the do's and don'ts and all that fun stuff. And then we're going to be talking about the close, the aftermath. What are we going to be doing after this whole event has transpired? How are we going to maximize this after the game is over? Now, after all that, you're basically ready to rock and roll. You've got everything set up, you've prepared the right way. Now it is time to get into the game. So now we are going to be laced up, we are on the field, we are ready to run our first plays. So I hope you're ready, hope you're taking notes, I hope you know what's going on, and I will catch you in the next video.